Welcome back to our 4th of July themed chamber chat. We have our co-host Barbara Mills in the studio with us today. And on this segment, we are going to thank a local Citrus County vet. We brought in Jimmy T. Smith to tell us a little bit about his military service. So Jimmy, why don't you go ahead and tell us about your years in the military?
Well, I joined the military at the age of 17, and I served 20 years in the United States Army Infantry, 8 of which was overseas. I've been in airborne, air assault, and light infantry units. So as far as the infantry field goes, I fulfilled the whole spectrum of your standard infantry.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit more about what that means. What's the difference between that and infantry?
Well, the infantry is the branch of the United States Army that is tasked with actually closing with and maneuvering against an enemy force. They are the ones who kick in the doors on the ground force level. You have, of course, the special forces and the Rangers who are above that, who do specialized missions. But what you see on TV as far as Black Hawk Down, things like that, those are the infantry guys.
Really? That's you, huh?
Yes.
Wow, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about some of the achievements that you were recognized for in your years of service too. So you brought in some certificates to show us today. Why don't you go ahead and start with the first one. Tell us what it is and what it meant to you to receive it.
Well, the first one is a certificate achievement. It's one of the lower awards you can get as far as it's not a medal. It's just simply a certificate saying, you know, you've achieved a certain level of performance. And what this one deals with was a training mission that we had that the unit went to the National Training Center in Fort Irwin, California. And it was our job to challenge the other force. The other force was actually the blue force or the American force. We were the bad guys. And as that, it was my job to really try to challenge their forces as they maneuvered against us. And I was very fortunate. I was good at what I did. I was an anti-armor guy, and we had what's called the MILE system, Multiple Integrated Laser Engagement System, basically laser tag. And I was able to kill a great number of tanks. I had, you know, a lot of motivation to move around and you know, actively engage. And because of that, they gave me a certificate of achievement for it.
Fantastic. And tell me about this next one.
Well, one of the things that I had to do was overcome some of my fears and things like that. Well, truthfully, I was afraid of heights. You know, you live in Florida, there's not a lot of heights. Well, this certificate of training is one of the events that I did, which was while I was stationed in Korea. They offered me a chance to go to rappelling school, a mountaineering school. And they had a 300-foot cliff. And you're not finding a lot of that here in Florida. So when I went, it was definitely something that as I sat on top of that hill, your heart was pounding, you're fearful, but then once you start to rappel down this beautiful cliff, it taught you to overcome your fears. And that's very important to moving forward in life, and especially in the military, overcoming your fears.
So you felt like that day you had overcome that fear of heights?
That particular day, I had jumped out of airplanes prior to that, haven't gone to airborne school, but pretty much you're suited up and they're shoving you out the plane, so that's not much of a choice. You had to personally stand up and walk down that cliff. Oh, so wow. It was definitely a challenge.
Very impressive. I don't know if I could do it myself. Go ahead and tell us about this next one.
Okay, this one is a certificate of appreciation for operations in Panama. Years back, during the 90s, we had the Cuban refugees. And the Cuban refugees, at one point, were picked up and sent to various places, Guantanamo, and also the Republic of Panama. And in that, we had 4 camps. And our camp was, never had rioting, was very well organized and well run. And so out of the 4 camps, 3 of the 4 camps rioted, and there was a lot that happened there. Our camp didn't, because we treated them with a lot of respect. We understood their plight. We dealt with the troublemakers right away, but in a very proactive manner, not anything inappropriate. But because of that, you know, they showed their appreciation by giving me a certificate, and of course the other members who participated in that as well. It's just one of those things where it's a key point in life that you dealt with people who are struggling to change their life, and you know, that's why I keep that award.
Well, one of the things I want to ask you today too is, you know, you learn a lot of important skills in the military, but which one of those skills, or which of those skills do you feel has helped you in your life today?
Problem solving.
Really?
Definitely. One of the very first things I did as a private when I was stationed at Fort Lewis, I went from Florida all the way out to Washington State, and that was a very different lifestyle there. But when we were out in the field one day, we were maneuvering against an enemy, and all the leaders stood up and said, okay, we're dead, what are you guys going to do? And here's a whole bunch of privates with no clue we're doing the miles again. They're shooting blanks at us, but they're shooting at us, and we're going through all these training things. And they put it on us right there on the spot. What are you going to do? And that starts to develop a mentality of, you know, I have to deal with the problem now, because if you didn't do that later on in life, you'd have, well, you can get killed.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you on behalf of everyone in Citrus County for your years of service, and thank you for what you do for Citrus County today as well. We appreciate you being here, Jimmy T. Smith. And stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Thank you for your service, Jimmy.
Yes, we'll be right back with our Chamber Chat Challenge. Stay tuned.